Hey guys, it's Diane Gibbs, your host of Design Recharge. I don't know if I said that when I introduced Kyle, because this is coming before, but it's like I've been in the future. Anyway, I know this is crazy a little, but I'm a little crazy today. It's been a little crazy. And if you noticed, if you were listening on the recording last week or you watched it, I was in a different place. I was at my house and it was really early, so I was trying to be really quiet because my husband was asleep. So anyway, one of my friends Alicia was like, oh, was something wrong? Because I was like, wow, Diane seems really depressed or something. Anyway, I wasn't depressed. I was just trying to be really conscientious of, we have a small house. So I was trying not, be my normal loud self. So anyway, I want to tell you about who is sponsoring this. This show is sponsored by the patrons. My patrons are the best. Our patrons, the ones who allow us to be able to, me and the mouse in my pocket. No, I'm just kidding. I got two people who helped me do this. Thanks to Ashley Barkley, who is my right-hand man, would not be able to do it without her. Thank you. And to Sarah Barnes, who is my intern, and she's doing awesome. She's doing all the graphics. I'm doing the graphics for the Instagram stories. Did you know I'm on Instagram? I think you probably did, maybe, at Design Recharge. Anyway, I know it's not what we're supposed to be talking about. We're supposed to be talking about who this is by, sponsored by the patrons. The patrons are getting 2 videos this week. One, my friend Andrew Burnett talks about how he talks to clients. He's talking about it with my students, so you kind of get an idea. And he's not a designer, so he does a whole bunch of other stuff that, he's kind of the glue that holds everything together, gets everything coming in. I don't know what he would be. A brand consultant, I think is what he calls himself. But he's Scottish and you'll love to listen to him. And then you're also getting, you've already gotten, if you're a patron, how Brian Harper took apart and helped me with things, low-hanging fruit, things I need to do SEO-wise for my website. Not recharging you, but I used what I learned in this web audit to when I recreated my website, and I really thought about some of the things that he told me not to do, and I changed. Anyway, it feels like I'm just rambling. I just want to let you know you can be a patron too. You can get a whole bunch of extra content, and we do meetups and we do projects. You can be a patron too, even for $1, $1, $5, $19. And then there's a really, like, I come to your house. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really come to your house. That would be really, really expensive because I live in Mobile and we have like an airport that has 3, well, maybe it has 5 places you can park a plane. It's really small. Anyway, you can be a patron too at patreon.com/Diane Gibbs. All right, on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Design Recharge. I'm pretty sure this is episode 315. And if not, I guess I can edit that out. But I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find the show notes because there are some resources that you want to get. And it's at rechargingyou.com/315. Not 315, just 315. But we're going to dive in because we got a lot to cover. And one of the things, the name of the show is Small Improvements Can Make a Difference. And I think that that's where, you look at Kyle and you think, oh my gosh, he's got it all together. He's got this huge side project. He's going at working with solopreneurs and small businesses and really killing it. But it doesn't always start there. And it's incremental changes over time, right?
Right. 100%. Yeah.
So last time you were on, we're going to start with the SEO. Next week, just so you guys know, it's a really deeper dive for us into SEO. We're just touching the top of the water this week because I know you want to learn about it. And Kyle had some great tips. He shared some last time, but he's going to go into a little bit more this time and some tools that he uses that maybe will get us in. So last time you were on, you were touched on SEO. Oh, well, do you want to say, did I say anything? I just was skipping over your background. Are you okay with skipping over? You can go to the other episode. It'll be in the show notes.
There we go. Okay. That's fine.
I don't know what number it was.
We have a lot to cover today. And it's not just SEO, huh? Some branding too and some other exciting things.
And side projects and all these things and why you work with who you work with. And I think, so that's why. And I want to know about how these small changes have made a difference in all these different aspects. So So you're going to share a couple more SEO tips, and hopefully people can take advantage of some of this low-hanging fruit that they could implement on their website or on their clients' websites. All right, give it to us.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know SEO and creatives don't match up sometimes.
Why?
They're kind of, I think there's just, there's two different sides of the spectrum. Sometimes there's kind of this branding and, design side of the spectrum, and then there's marketing, and you're either in one camp or the other a lot of times. And so SEO is very much marketing, digital marketing. And so I do think there's, from the creative community, there's a certain perception there, like, oh, I don't want to hear about all that. And, but it's really valuable, and something that I can say has helped my business grow to a point where I can work full-time freelance out of my home. So that was my dream, going into all this, and SEO was a huge, the main factor, really, I would say, into reaching that goal. So I'm just kind of hopping on here with you, talking shop a little bit. I don't want to use too much jargon, of course, when it comes to SEO, because there's a lot here. I want to put it in like really practical, actionable terms for everybody. So pretty much SEO is search engine optimization. This is assuming that you have a website too. I mean, there's SEO on Etsy, there's SEO on Dribbble and tags and things like that kind of have this feel of SEO. But when I'm talking SEO in these terms, it'll be in relation to your personal website if you have one. And if you don't have one, I recommend it. It's a cheap, easy way to market yourself and get yourself out there, and not just rely on Instagram or Dribbble, for instance. But I'm going to really focus in on local SEO. And what I mean by that is, if someone were to search graphic designer Chicago, for instance, that's what I would call local SEO, because it's local to your city. So we'll dive into this a little bit further, and how to see
how would that help? Why is that different than just graphic designer?
Yeah. So graphic designer, obviously that's going to be pretty much impossible to rank for, because that's not as pared down of niched in of a keyword phrase. So graphic designer, you're competing with all the big boys, and it's going to be a losing battle pretty much to try to rank for that. But as you get what we call long tail, longer tail is pretty much, the longer that keyword phrase gets, the less competition there tends to be, right? It makes sense. Pretty straightforward. So if you can rank for your city, like Chicago, for instance, is a big one. You're competing with a lot of big boys, but I always say to look up on Wikipedia and look for that sweet spot of between 500 or 50,000 population and maybe 400,000. Somewhere between there is kind of a sweet spot, and you'll be able to rank a lot easier if you pursue it and stick at it. Yeah, go ahead.
I have my hand up. Y'all can't see it, but I have my hand up. So what if I lived in Chicago? So I don't know any Chicago. Let's say San Francisco or LA, right? So you might have in San Francisco, there's Cupertino, or there's all these little smaller areas that are still considered part of San Francisco, right? So you want to target maybe those, and those would have a better search results, right?
Right, exactly. So, and a way around this is you can say, hey, serving Chicago and the surrounding areas, including this city and this city and this city. You obviously want to be really honest about all this, right? And not just keyword stuff. And, that's not going to work out well for you anyway. But, it wouldn't be worth it to go for Chicago, right? But if you're a suburb of Chicago or near it, you can enter those keywords, and then it's niched in a little bit further. You don't have as much competition, and then people will find you on that first page of Google a lot easier.
Well, I want to say one other thing. Brian White, he's here too, and maybe I'm sharing a secret. Hopefully not. Brian, plug your ears, I guess. But I know Brian's done this by using, because sometimes I'll do some work for Brian. I love to work for Brian. So hopefully he's not going to kill me after this, but he'll do
Good
local
man.
SEO from he's in Kansas, but he's gotten business from LA area.
Yeah.
And he's, I think that sometimes it's about maybe targeting some of those other smaller areas because they're searching for where they are. And I think that, it may be a better option for them because it's not like a LA firm, because that's a much more expensive. So it's been really a good, it's different if you want to be able to meet with them in person, right? But you meet a lot of your people through Zoom too, or you're not always meeting in person with all your people, are you?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay, sounds good. So, I think number one, setting up a Google My Business account. Again, this is assuming you have a personal website, is the first step. This is like of low-hanging fruit we're talking here. So you set up that Google My Business account, flesh it out with, graphics or pictures or images that represent you and your business or your craft in some way. Make sure there's some keywords on there, like graphic design. If you're a graphic designer, that should be on there, brand designer, whatever it may be, and make sure that's all filled out well. And so you'll sign up, they'll send you a postcard, believe it or not. And this might have changed over time, but last time I checked, this was the case. Well, they'll send you a postcard with a code, and then you'll enter that code and you'll follow instructions, and pretty much you'll be set up with that Google business listing. So that's one way to get found in the kind of Google Maps type of search, not the regular organic Google search that you see there.
Amy says they still do that.
Amy does it. Yeah, okay, good. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. I would say number two is focusing on not just local keywords, but buyer intent keywords. And I'll explain what that means. But it can be called commercial intent, buyer intent. Pretty much it's exactly what it says is they're ready to buy, or they're ready to go with your service or your product, whatever it may be. And there's more intent there to pull the trigger on, let's say, a design firm or agency or freelancer to help them with whatever they're needing.
What would those words be?
Yeah. So let's start with services based, because I know most of us are services based. One of them could be need, for instance. So need logo designer Chicago, best logo designer Chicago. Let's do a little example. For instance, what do you think is more qualified of a client too? If someone searches brand design studio Chicago or logo designer Chicago?
They don't know the word brand until they meet with us usually, right? So I would say logo designer.
Well, so logo designer, so someone that knows that it's a brand or brand identity, that might be someone that might be a little bit more qualified actually, because they have more of that knowledge. Yes.
The client would be more qualified because they've done their research or they've met with somebody. Oh, I gotcha. Exactly. I'm with you.
So that's, it's like the intent that's behind it. You have to kind of go for as well. So that's an important part of all this. You don't want to just go for keywords just to, try them out. And there's some tools that I can, tell you guys about later that are completely free to use and really helpful. It's helped me out a lot along the way.
Even that tip is really good. Like about thinking about, they've already been searching. They understand where, because they've read other people's websites. They've seen brand. And now they know what to search for. It's not like my uncle searching for the first time. I need me a logo.
You got it. Yeah. 100%. Okay. Yeah. And then products based, some of us might have products that we sell, things like that. I know this is a little bit less of a commonality between maybe this audience, but buy, coupon, discount deal, shipping, things like that could be, these are product based keywords that people are, kind of ready to go, kind of have their wallets out and they're ready to make a purchase.
That's right, because I'm hitting coupon code or I'm hitting something like that so that I can get cheaper because I'm ready to buy. Right? Oh, so
Yeah,
Mario
yeah.
says,
Right.
where do we put these
Great.
words?
Yes, yes. So this can be part of your homepage, which is a huge, obviously one of the biggest pages where your site is ranking for. But it could be like, say you start a content marketing plan with, you're blogging essentially on your site and you're just delivering a lot of value. You can center certain keywords or a certain topic around keywords, and then you can cater it to that. So yeah, it's hard because I don't want to get too deep into this. There's a lot to that. And Mario, if you wanted to shoot me an email after this, I'd be happy to answer any more specific questions. But
but this could be inside the website copy. It could be like, you could say, do you need, or it could be within the keywords on an image or on some other things within, even in your SEO of that page, you can make sure in that snippet, it says some of those things, right?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So this is getting into more of the nitty gritty, but you can set your, what's called an alt tag for images, for instance, and say, you want to make sure that image is representative of whatever you place in that alt tag. But
because it's really for people who are blind that are reading your site.
Yeah, but it helps Google too.
Yes.
And you can be found in those image searches, and it does help. It's part of one of those 200 plus ranking factors in the algorithm. So yeah, that's kind of the overview without getting into too much of the nitty gritty. But yeah, I think a little pro tip, I guess, what I would tell people is to go for 2 or 3 keywords and not try to go for everything necessarily.
For the whole site or per
So for a
page?
particular page. Yeah.
Okay.
One page.
So
it's kind of like you go with everything and you get nothing type of thing.
Okay. So I want just a little bit so that people, and I'm going to share my WordPress just to kind of give you guys an idea, and then I'll dig in and show you what I've done. Now, maybe I've done this wrong, and Kyle, you can tell me because it's not going to hurt my feelings. I want to be better. And so I just figured you guys could see this maybe, and it'll help you. So I'm going to share this one. Hopefully you guys can see this. So this is Kyle's. These were some of the categories that I chose. And then these were some of the things that I did. I'm going to go ahead and go in it. I don't think there's anything scary back here. I sure hope not. Well, it's just taking forever. But I just want to show them where the alt tags were, just in case they didn't know. And then about the snippet. Now, Yoast is a plugin that you use. It's free, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, so here's the back end. I probably don't do permalinks, but I want people to be able to go straight to the rechargingyou.com/315. And I know it says -2, but you don't need the -2. It still gets there. So I'm just going to scroll down. So here, I haven't done it. I'm so sorry. See, readability, terrible. Some of it's okay. But it's this is what comes up if you went straight to my page. This is the first thing you went to, right? When you came on to Recharging You, it's the first time you'd ever been here. This was your entry page. It would be better if there was text that told about what this show is about, right?
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can edit the snippet. This is the top part, right? This is a separator.
That's the title.
Right. If I don't want that, I could type in something else.
Right.
So it's more consistent. And then you can modify this text, this black text right here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to grab something from up here because it's not really, I'm just going to copy this, although this is probably not a good way to do it. Because I would literally do it, but it gives you a bar and it says like green, orange, and it wants you to kind of cut through it. But you want like this week on Design Recharge, but would not be important. that he's my friend is not important. So Kyle Courtright, that's getting better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else they could kind of learn or in this? If we were only talking about SEO, it would be really important to put SEO in this, but we're talking about these little bitty tweaks, and we'll know this later, right? After the show's ended. So is there anything else you could tell them from just this part?
For this particular post, you want to get an overview and have just like design, you want to have a strategy behind it. So you got to think, okay, for someone, you got to put yourself in their shoes, right? And say, okay, someone that is looking for a post like this, it might have, they might do an exact search for my name, for instance, and then design recharge. So that might be actually something that my name would probably, I'm not telling you how to do this.
No, let's do it.
You don't have to do this, but like my name would probably be one of the things that you would want to put in there, because if someone's searching for this podcast, they would probably put in my name and then design recharge, or my name with Diane Gibbs, or something like that. Or that's what I was going to say too. Like you could say, branding, and then if someone's searching branding, design recharge show.
So you would put design recharge, oops, I'm a terrible speller, in all of these? Because I feel like that's like...
No,
okay.
Definitely not. So I would go the branding route, possibly, since we talk about SEO, maybe say talk branding and SEO, or try to focus in on one of those, and then kind of go from there.
Would you do something like that?
Yeah, and this is just the focus keyword. So this doesn't do anything necessarily for your SEO. It just helps Yoast determine if you've got the readability and all those little tips at the top there with the little sad face up there. That's kind of like showing based on that keyword phrase how you're doing in comparison. So like in the meta description down here at the bottom, for instance, it's that orange bar. It's right now it would be shortened for length. So you don't want to, it's called being truncated pretty much. So you want to stay, so it's not, there's a certain amount of characters you have for a Google search, right? So you don't want to get past that and have things truncated, or it'll take away from the experience when someone's trying to, look and click in on whichever Google search result that they're wanting to go with. So it kind of looks bad if it's being truncated, then they can't read the whole thing.
Right, but you want it to go green.
Yeah, right? There's a sweet spot there, right? You wanna go close, but not too far past there. So I don't know if yours turns green. Sometimes
mine does, but I would have to work on it. So I'm not going to do that right now. So because we got a lot of other things to cover.
And this is very WordPress specific too. So
right. But I'm sure there's something like this in Squarespace or wherever you're doing. I think alt tags are somewhere always, right? That's not, the only other thing I wanted to show them was media.
And if you do have a Squarespace site, there's a spot for SEO there where you can enter the title and then the description in there. So Google will eventually crawl and index that and then post. And it usually can take a little while sometimes. So if it doesn't post right away, don't get too down on yourself. It could take up to a week to, a few weeks sometimes, depending on how credible your site is in Google's eyes.
Does it matter what the title of my images are?
That's not really the biggest thing. The biggest thing here is the alt text at the top there. So that will...
It's the same thing as the description.
Yeah, so the description's good. Caption is obviously, if you like hover over it, it just shows, if you hover and just leave your mouse there, it'll show what that is. But the alt text is really the big one there that you're trying to help Google realize, okay, if someone lands on this image search, then they can click into it and it'll come to my site.
All right. So do you think that that's okay? Would you have commas?
I wouldn't necessarily, for the title, I would just put, Kyle Courtright branding or something like that.
Okay.
And then alt text, I would do something like the same thing. If it's that alt text is too long, it's seen as maybe a little bit spammy by Google, and you can actually it can go the opposite way, and it can hurt your site.
Okay.
Because they're trying to, when it comes down to it, Google is trying to protect the integrity of search.
Right.
And so if you're thinking kind of in those terms, I think that really does help. Just think, okay, if I were Google, what would make it, easier to help me be found in the search results?
But it also helps us. Then it's not, we have to do so much for everything. Because this for me is a lot every week. I have to come up with this. And unless you're supplying this, it's work for me,
Right,
So
right.
if I just have to think about 3 words, that maybe is more doable. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. Hopefully that helped maybe. It's native to Webflow, Amy says.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't dabbled in Webflow too much, so that's great. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're hopefully that's good. Can you give us some of your resources? You talked about some things, some other sites people could go to learn more or find out more about getting the most out of how we could use our site better to get more clients.
Yeah, of course. So I've got a couple as far as like the learning process of learning about SEO. Everything that you need to learn about SEO is on neilpatel.com. So Neil Patel, just how it sounds.com. And then backlinko.com is another one.
Backlink.co?
Sorry, backlink. So back and then the word link and then .com.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, and so that's Neil Patel, and then Brian Dean, a guy named Brian Dean, is running Backlinko, and yeah, those pretty much everything that it's in written content, it's in video content, however you want to consume it is there for you, and everything that you need is there. So I don't want to give too much more than that because that's all you need. So as far as the free SEO tools I mentioned, one is called Uber Suggest. So UBER Suggest, I think it's .com, should be. And that's I think Neil Patel just acquired that company, and it's pretty much a free tool where you can do your keyword research, see how many competitors are ranking for this keyword, how many, based on your site specifically, how many of these keywords has potential for you to do well in, and all these great things. Another one is called Keywords Everywhere.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah,
You may or may not know this. My sheet's gonna have to go to the back. I've already got so many. Keywordseverywhere.com.
So Keywords Everywhere is actually an extension for Chrome.
Oh, extension.
And so that is actually super helpful. Yeah, there's a lot to it, but pretty much it shows the competitors, what you can rank for, kind of the same as Uber Suggest, but right there within the window if you're searching on Google. So that's just more convenience there.
My question is, with like Uber or the keywords, am I using the same keyword on almost every keyword few keywords on every page? Obviously not on my blog post because those are different, but on my pages, those should be like the main keywords that I'm using on all my alt images or something. If I'm talking about, if I'm doing logos or I'm doing illustrations, would you use those same ones on every image?
No. So that's one thing you don't necessarily want to do because it'll put less weight on the one page that you're really wanting to rank for. So you kind of want to choose one that you're wanting to go for a particular keyword phrase. Otherwise you're kind of competing against yourself actually. Right. And then you won't get ranked at all. So yeah, you want to be specific with it and niche down if you can. Like we said before, a graphic designer, you're just never going to rank for that, right? And if you do, then props. But it's just a tough one, for some of these shorter tail keywords. So go for there is riches in the niches, right? And that's true for keyword phrases like this. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say there. Great.
Those are great resources. All right, so now we're jumping into if I wanted to get better at SEO, would you do a long dive? Would you do a little bit every day? How did you get better? Because again, I wouldn't think that you just jump out of the womb and you're like, I know how to do SEO, or you go to Neil Patel's site and you get everything in a day, right? So
Yeah.
how have you gotten better over time?
Well, first of all, I love branding. I love design, but I love the relationship of branding with marketing. A lot of times for a company to grow to its fullest potential, you can't have one without the other. They have to coincide. I always tell my clients, like if I'm designing a website for them, it's great to have this website, right? But if we're not driving traffic, if we're not converting that traffic into paying customers, then it's a website that's just sitting there. Obviously, you can do things manually, like referring people to the site and things like that. But from a digital marketing perspective, then the marketing side of things is huge there. So that's really part of it there. But going back to what you're saying, I'm passionate about it, so that helps. Yeah, I'd say just chip away at it.
Like how much time did you give it in the beginning? I mean, obviously it was an interest to you and it sparked curiosity. But if you said, if Dave Co was like, Kyle, I got to get better, what do I need to do? How much time would you invest in the first month trying to play with things and work with things or learn?
Oh man, I would just be head down and getting in there as much as you can. Like whatever works for, like it's a customized thing, right? Whatever works for your schedule. Mm-hmm. It's how much you put in is really how much you get out of it, right? And
but you've seen it as a huge benefit for you in your business.
Yes,
so it was
100%.
worth taking time away to focus on this.
Right. And I would say if we're talking in like real numbers here, like 30 minutes a day, right? It doesn't have to be a lot. 30 minutes a day for a few weeks, and it's amazing how much that you can learn, just in that amount of time. So make those. I'm all about like realistic goals and goal setting, but you want to kind of go outside of what you think you can do too. So whatever you think you can do, go outside of that with that goal and just go all in and have the end in mind, right? That's a huge thing for us. Like, okay, this will all be worth it in the end. That's what helps me at least to be able to. Yeah.
So it's about measuring, being able to measure that. So I know Mario has gone full-time doing design. He's in Hawaii. And so this could be something that maybe as he's really focusing on this and he's putting more time, this might be better for him to focus some of doing this as he's building out his portfolio or as he's doing a social media. It would be better maybe for him to spend a little bit of time to try to get some traction as he's gone full time, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And yeah, as far as, Fred's saying, do you still dedicate time to learning? And definitely the moment that I stop learning is the moment that I'm too big for my britches, right?
Because it changes all the time, right?
It does. Yeah. And your interests change and you want the learning to kind of roll with that a little bit. You don't want it to feel forced, even though some of it's like, okay, this is important, even though it's not my passion. Let's try to dive in and get this done. But yeah, to answer your question, Fred, I mean, just that ongoing learning process is so huge. And I'm still got plenty to learn, of course. And, it's just an amazing thing that you can just like up your craft and up your level just by learning from others, gaining inspiration from others, and really keeping this collaborative mindset and not getting too prideful for our own good, right?
Right. Okay, so let's talk about branding, because branding is the same way. You start out one place, just like with SEO, you have to learn, and it does change because it's something that is constantly evolving. Our industry doesn't just stay the same. So how did you get better at branding, and who is your biggest mentor?
Okay, first question. There's a few parts to this. Number one is practice. That's the obvious answer, right? Number two, I would say, is self-awareness. Something I've noticed about the best designers out there is that they know their weaknesses and are eager to learn more to turn those weaknesses into strengths. So there's a level of self-awareness there, I think, with some of the best designers, because they realize, okay, I can learn more. There's a humble factor to it, I think. So that's another one, a continued learning, like we were talking about before, reading books, blogs, listening to podcasts. Like I said, none of us have all the answers, and there's a lot smarter people out there than I am, and there always will be. So, and then the other one, I kind of alluded to this, but like draw inspiration from other creatives like you respect, and then glance at it, and then, add your own distinctive flair, because you're the only one that can offer design or your services the way that you do. So yeah, that's why I say always glance when it comes to inspiration, glance at it. There's nothing wrong with that. And then develop your own distinction, your own style from there.
What I tell my students is that they don't need to just look at other logos. They need to, as they're learning what logos are, they need to look at a lot more logos.
Yeah.
But they also need to look at logos that have maybe been vetted. So they've been through Logo Wave or Logo Lounge, or they're in CA, or I don't even know if there's a print or how. I don't think there's an online print, I think. But there's some sort of vetted thing where it's talking about what maybe is current and what's good, instead of just Pinterest, right? Because Pinterest is anybody. My mom can post to Pinterest. No offense, Mom, if you're on here. She's not on here, so she doesn't know how to post to Pinterest, but she could, I could teach her.
Sure.
But with that, they also need to look at what's out there, look at what is current, understand, be in that. But then they also need to do research. If they were doing a bed and breakfast, they need to research the town and what makes that bed and breakfast different, and what is a bed and breakfast, and all these things. It's not just, so if there was a bed and breakfast and it had olives, you would hope, or they had an olive plantation. Do they call it a plantation? I don't know. Olive farm? Sure. I don't know. Whatever. You would hope that you would know what kind of olives they're growing and all these things. You dig really in it, and those are things that are those things that you would tell people as well, or am I just totally off base?
What specifically?
Look up other things, not just logos.
Right. No, I think that, I do think that's important. Yeah.
You don't sound real confident on that. Okay, people my students can just take it and go. What do you look at when you're looking? So if you had a bed and breakfast, and they had an olive farm, what would you do as research?
Okay. So yeah, I thought you were just asking, is research important? And so I'm like, okay, yes. So yeah, of course. I think you need to, definitely do your homework there. That's something that I've learned over time doing this for 10 years now, that I kind of skipped over at the beginning a little bit more, that we can really, if you put in the homework at the beginning, the results that you can get out of it, especially with logo design and branding, it's amazing that your creativity can really roll with that kind of research and homework on the front end as kind of a cornerstone to the rest of the design process. So, oh my goodness, yeah, it's so important. It's yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to have such a short answer like that.
You're like, no. That is not the way you do it, Diane. Thank you for playing.
You speak the truth.
All right. So,
yeah.
So one of the things that you didn't mention, but I do think you sort of mentioned, I would say you gave me 5 things for how to get better at branding. But I also think you also ask people. It can't be in a vacuum. I think you have to be able to receive the feedback. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So is that something you did with a mentor or a friend, or is that something, how did you do that as you were growing?
Yeah. So my mentor was my design prof. I think you'll be happy to hear that. But his name is Prof. Mazellan. Yeah, he really prepared me for that design process and making sure that I'm, putting the attention to detail and the thought that should go into every design, and that someone's commissioning for commissioning you for this design, right? And so there's a responsibility there, and so that homework is part of it. I think he really helped me with the business side of things as well. At the time, my school didn't have any, I think we've talked about this before, but any business/design centric classes that kind of meshed like that. So that was one of my senior sem classes, and he just like was talking taxes and accounting, and I was just like absorbing it, because like I had never really considered some of these things too much. So his encouragement and his acumen really helped spur me on. I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but like there was another prof that same year, the following semester, so I'm about to graduate, and he pretty much told me that, Kyle, I don't think design's right for you.
Oh no.
And then I'm hearing Prof. Mazellan say, no, go at it. You're a great designer, Kyle. Let's do this thing. And so that kind of outweighed the negative from that other prof. And it's okay. That other prof, I don't want to speak badly about him. I won't give his name, obviously, but
it's like sometimes you need somebody to be that and be like, I'll show you, buddy.
Sure. So like, it's like fast forward to today. I've been fortunate enough to work with organizations like Toyota, Entrepreneurial, Detroit Lions, American Cancer Society, and others. And
those are some little clients. That's great.
Well,
those are huge.
Well,
Toyota.
It's just all that to say that the dream is real. Like you can, I'm living my dream, and working from home. Being able to have lunch with my wife and kiddos every day. And if I listened to that prof that only had the negative, then I wouldn't be here and doing maybe what I truly love, because like I can't imagine being in any other vocation. So that's I know a little bit of a tangent, but that was part of the mentor story.
But it's also that you are continually getting better. So there's, sometimes I think, I see how somebody thinks, and they think really creatively, but maybe they don't execute. And so execution is hand skills. Well, you'll get better at the lathe. The more you use a lathe, you're going to get better. It's the same thing with design. This is just a tool, Illustrator, the pen tool, whatever it is, the pencil, a tracing paper. It's just a tool, but you have to use it, and you start seeing things. So, all right. Biggest mentor was him. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you about Timely. Timely is the app that I use on my computer, or I can use on my phone to track my time for each client, for each project, so that I know I'm not going over. But what I love the most is that there is the stalker option, or they call it the memory option. I actually prefer stalker option because I don't know why, because I think it's funnier. But the memory option remembers what I've been doing. It remembers what project I was working on and the name of it. And it remembers who I've been emailing, or it remembers what I have had open and literally been working on at that time. And I love that. So if you can't remember, or you forgot to log your hours, you can go back for forever and see what your time tracker was. So Timely remembers for me so that I don't have to. When you sign up for Timely via this link, you will receive a 10% discount once you activate your subscription. And you actually are able to try Timely for 14 days before activating your subscription. It is paid to make sure that Timely is the right fit for you. It was for me. My friend Karina told me about it, and I love it. So the link is bit.ly/Dr. Timely, like Dr. Timely, but all lowercase. You can find the link in the down below. The next question, I think we kind of covered a little bit, but was that same professor the one who helped you shape your business? Or is that somebody you went to after you had started your business? Or is that somebody, did you have a different kind of mentor then?
To be honest, some of my mentors, they were, they didn't know they were mentors, by the way, but it was all like online, reading up on some different blogs. I remember distinctly coming out of college and David Aries stuff really resonated with me. And now fast forward to today, and we're great friends. We actually email back and forth regularly, mostly talking about family and friends, but some design too. But such a down to earth guy that's like super humble for all the success that he's seen. I think he's got, gosh, between his 3 blogs, he's got like 1 million visitors, not a year, but a month to his blogs. So he's obviously a household name and doing some great things and on the Logo Wave jury, and he's just happened to become a good friend. But, from a design perspective, definitely David's stuff. And then I go back to the marketing stuff, like Neil Tell. I probably wouldn't be running this freelance business full time right now if it weren't for Neil and, the business side of things and this marketing side. So yeah, I would say those two.
So Neil is not somebody you've ever met or talked to? Or
No.
Okay. So that's just a mentor. So there are mentors that are people that you actually connect with and people that you just are learning from, right? And so it's kind of a one-way street, but you're taking a lot in. So I want to ask because this is really big for a lot of people, is to ask, like, David Aries, seriously? Whew, what? You weren't talking to that one professor before you called David Aries, So what I think a lot of people forget he's just a person, right? We all are just people, and we don't think anybody thinks anything about talking to us, right? Or hopefully, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to talk to people who think that they're all that and whatever. But so how long ago was it through Logo Wave that you approached him, or how did you get that conversation going?
So Jacob Cass and Ian Paget and I have had this ongoing email thread going for, years and years now. Both, big in the branding logo space. And I was chatting with Jacob and knew that he knew of David pretty well and has coordinated with him in the past. And I was actually looking to possibly publish my logo design ebook. I ended up deciding not to. But I was actually asking Jacob if he could make an intro to David. This was, years back. And because I know he had a good publisher, and I followed his stuff, and it might be a good way to make a connection too with him. And so he's like, sure. And then, I emailed David, and the next day he emails me back with this long email, so in depth, with like his contact at a company called Peach Pit Press at the time. And they're doing a lot of great stuff over there, not as much printed materials, they're going towards more of that digital feel. But at the time that was his publisher, and he was like, any more questions for me? I'd love to continue the conversation. And so I was like, okay, I would too. And it's turned into a really awesome friendship where we're like genuinely there for each other. And he's like, hey, when you're in Northern Ireland sometime, please, like, let's meet up and chat. And I'm trying to get him to go to Creative South. He's considering it. So if he goes there, it's like, okay, let's get him on stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
so
go ahead.
So it was just through, you talked to somebody else. Jacob's got a pretty big following as well. So does Ian. But do I sound funny? I sounded funny in my ears.
No, you sound great.
Well, I sounded like a robot in my ears. Sorry about that. Okay, so threw me off there. I'm so sorry.
Don't listen to the voices, Andre says.
Right. All right. So we're going to change gears again, and we have like 15 minutes left. So I got to really jump in. So
all right.
Obviously Toyota, American Cancer Society, not really small, mom and pop, solopreneurs. But what about solopreneurs do you love working for?
Yeah, I think the main thing was that we had a similar story. I wanted to work with those people that were like me, trying to get out of that 9-to-5 job and do their own thing on their own terms. I just Yeah, and I knew that if I put that story out there, which I do on my about page of my site, which I always say, by the way, side note, your about page might be the most important page of your website because it shows the humanness behind an otherwise robotic website. But yeah, people, I can't tell you how many people chat with me. It's like, hey, your story really stood out, resonated with me, and I want to hit those same goals. So all of a sudden we have this commonality, this trust, this credibility that's built in. And, those are the types of people that I really enjoy working with. Oh, by the way, there's less red tape working with, entrepreneurs. There's one decision maker. There's a lot of benefits to it, right? But as you can imagine, with that trust that's built in, it's easier to land the project too. And so I would say with small business owners, it's around that 90% mark that if I can, get them on a call, we can move forward with this thing and help them reach their goals. So yeah, I'll try to keep it short, but that's
No, that's
the
good.
answer.
So you feel like you're part of the team. They feel like you're part of their team, and you want to help them, just like you had to clarify goals because you can relate.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
All right. So so you've been working for yourself for how long?
Oh man, 10 years.
Okay. So 10 years, which a lot of learning in 10 years, especially when you're doing it on your own, right? Or working alone. So when did you start thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur? Was it 10 years ago or before?
Yeah,
Or after?
That's such a great question. Like that's one of those like out of the box things. And it's like, okay, let me think about that. I had the entrepreneurial bug when I was very little. Like we're talking elementary school. Like I would always, like for my school, I would always go door to door and do the whole like flowers and the fundraisers and the bake sales and things like that. And of course there were prizes involved, so that helped too. But I had a mowing business when I was 14 with about, I'd say 8 to 12 clients, printed off flyers, went door to door for that. And yeah, it's hard to turn down a little kid maybe, but I don't think I had a great pitch or anything, but I'm this little kid that wants to help, and they no longer have to mow. I had a car washing business, did flyers with that with my friend for a little while too. But if we're talking professionally, like I think that, so my business the first year, I'm not usually as open to this because I know it can be, talking numbers and things, there's a certain perception, but I tend to be more open about numbers sometimes. But the business did 7,500 the first year. So that's more of a hobby in my mind, right?
Right.
That's not, I don't consider myself an entrepreneur at that point. And it doesn't have to be just based on numbers, right? But for me, that was a huge part of it. But during the next couple of years, I had 9 to 5 jobs I didn't enjoy. At times working overtime just to make ends meet, burn the midnight oil, at night, and work 3 to 4 hours consistently at night, and then wake up early and go to my full-time job. But by year 3, the business reached 6 figures and has grown ever since. And at that point, I felt like an entrepreneur because I was able to kind of fully support my family doing this freelance thing.
So it had to do somewhat with success. So success for a lot of people would just be money, but success for you is being able to you close the door at 5. You're not staying up all night long, except in rare instances, right?
Right. And there are some instances where they'll go to bed, and sometimes I have to do that, but I'm not going to sacrifice that family time. I'm done at, I think it's 5:15 every day. And, there's that expectation for my wife because, we've got,
she's been working with kids, right? All day.
Exactly. We've got, for those of you who don't know, I've got 3 and 5-year-old boys. Yeah, they keep her
2
busy.
dogs.
Right, 2 dogs.
She takes the dogs because they're with Kyle, right?
They usually sit by me on this bed, and they've got this is kind of like doubles as a guest room and office, but they sit next to me right there. I always say they're my mascots, but yeah, that's kind of the story. But yeah, it's not like the numbers necessarily. It's more of, okay, I could support my family. That kind of provider instinct kind of really, really comes in there. So yeah.
All right. So we're going to kind of roll through these in 9 minutes. We're a
Rapid
little
fire,
over.
Dan.
No, this is good. So working at home is a struggle. One, your office never goes away. It's always there. So I think this is upstairs. You have it as an upstairs and everything else in your house is below.
Yeah.
Does that help?
It does have that
separate it?
separation. The fact that I use the stairs going down as like this kind of visual point. I don't know if we've talked about this, but pretty much when I'm done with work, I need to like turn it off. Like I'm really intentional about that. And this is family time now. And so sometimes I actually stand at the top of the stairs and wait like a minute or two because I'm still thinking about stuff. And it's like, I shouldn't have even got up. Like I need to like wait. And then once I'm ready, go downstairs and it's me wrestling with and tickling the boys or, asking my wife how her day was and things like that. So that's kind of that separation that I need, because I'm so close to family here and need to have that separation.
That's great. So, and they really keep the door closed when you're up here working. They're not running in and saying, Dad.
Every once in a while they are. And I don't, that's actually really nice for me every once in a while. Cause if they come in and give me a hug or something like this, or they have a question or want to show me some drawing they did, I'll be like, oh, great job, man. And, they'll just run out and then I'll just press on, so it's kind of I get these little bright spots in my day of them coming up and doing that. And, it doesn't affect me too much as far as, staying on track.
It's a good break, right?
It is.
Not like oh my gosh, he just came in. I've got to work on this. Don't show me your crayons. Okay.
Right.
I think Dave totally, he works at home and he has kids. He has two twins, a twin set of twins, twin girls and a little boy.
Wow.
The Deacon's older than the girls. Anyway. Okay. So you have this big, side project. When in your 10 years did you start that and why? And did it start as little and then you incrementally got it bigger? Or because again, we're talking about SEO, we're talking about doing better with branding. These are all small changes that you were very focused in on that you wanted to change and see movement in. So why Logo Wave? And tell them about that.
Yeah. So those of you who don't know, Logo Wave is pretty much a logo design platform that helps give influxes of value to logo designers, some of the best identity and logo designers from around the world. The goal there is to attract more qualified clients, land more gigs, and help raise your rates as a result of that value add and that credibility of winning this this competition. So that's kind of the elevator pitch. But I've always been, like I said, interested in digital marketing. It's a relationship to branding. So in order to grow a business to its fullest extent, you want those two to combine in some way. So I knew that looking at other design awards platforms out there was a gap in the market and I don't want to take away from any other, awards competitions out there. There's a lot of great ones and you should search them out. But I felt like there is a gap to have one that's not only user friendly. So I see a lot of these that it's like so hard to fill out all these different forms and know where to look. And there's a lot of time and effort that goes into just like, posting. And these are busy freelancers, agencies that just don't have time for some of this stuff sometimes. And I just wanted to make it really user friendly and easy to do, a wallet friendly, prize heavy solution, I always say, and then, one that's credible too. And so at the beginning, it was just an idea, right? I pitched it to my wife and she's like, okay, I think that might have some legs. And I pitched a lot of ideas to her and she very kindly says, I don't know about that one. But
because this is kind of another income stream, but it also has marketing. Maybe it's not much income stream. Maybe it's more of a gift right now. but there is potential. It may be that you do a book later on, or you do something that is people purchase. It has legs different than having client work.
Yes, definitely. And you do want to diversify income streams, and yeah, that's probably for another conversation, but that's super important. But yeah, I think one of the things that I enjoy is, and we've talked to this, Diane, is the fact that I like encouraging other designers. Like on Twitter for a while there, and I need to get back to it, is I did like a logo designer featured spotlight. And so, I wasn't trying to promote myself in any way. There's no, fine print or anything. I just wanted to, show other designers, show people, these designers stuff, that they're doing great stuff, and I respected. So that was part of it. So built this idea of building each other up was huge for me. And then logos, I love logo design, and that's a sweet spot. So all these things matched up to turn into, at the beginning, it didn't feel like a business, and it was just mostly freelancers, very limited entries the first few months, and then it really grew to, this is year 3, to where it's probably a 50-50 split between freelancers, and then mid to large agencies now are kind of hopping on. So it really has grown quite a bit just in the past year and a half here, and it's just been a blast. I have a lot of fun. If I could do that full time or 90% of the time, I probably would. But it's kind of the opposite right now until it really gets to a thing that's even more sustainable. But yeah.
So one of the things that's important for people in Logo Wave or with any competition is who are the judges, and you have amazing judges. Do you want to tell them who they are?
Sure. So we got Louise Philly. I'm pretty sure if you search best logo designers on Google or something, I think she pops up. Her and maybe David Airy, who is also on the jury. I mentioned Ian Pageant, aka Logo Geek. Jacob Cass, myself, and so Jeroen van Erden. I don't know how to say his name still. It's crazy, but he's worked for Google and Yahoo, and it's just doing some amazing things. And then, oh gosh, Alina Wheeler, who's written a bunch of bestsellers in the brand identity space. Probably on my shelf as well. And then Bill Gardner from Logo Lounge. Trying to think I think that's it. There's 8 of us right now.
Okay, so explain how it works, because it's a rolling thing, right?
Yeah.
So could you, and also you're expanding it this year. You're trying something, and I'm one of your beta people. Okay, so
Woo!
So
Can't wait to talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get it in there.
Oh man, we'll get yes. Okay, so I'll do the short version. Pretty much, you have your logos, right? And so these logos that you've done for your clients. So it's not like a design contest where you're working towards a creative brief. That's already done. We just want to show the value that's already in your portfolio, right? And add to that value for your services down the road. So pretty much you enter into the competition just like any other design awards platform. Each wave is a little bit different, but this wave, it'll be about 3 to 4 months until the wave ends. And then once everybody gets in their submissions for with their different logos, it goes to the jury, and they determine the top 5 from all these submissions. And then there's obviously a prize pack and some different things like $1,000 to the first place winner, 3 custom made trophies, which I get a lot of great feedback on, that they're just loving these trophies, and they're built in somewhere in North Dakota, some guy and his dad are building these trophies for us, and they're just so talented. But first, second, and third now get trophies. It used to be just first place, but added those extra 2. And then all the top 5 get, recognition on the site, on social media networks, certificate, badge set, and things like that. So we want to really support the designers in a way where it does add that, that credibility and that extra amount of value. So their potential clients see that and say, hey, that's legit. Like I want to hire you over this other guy that I'm bidding against.
So one of the things I love about it is that it is rolling. So, when I finish a logo, if it's only one time a year, I might have forgotten about that awesome logo I did. But do you know what I mean? So at this point, I can enter it at any time, right?
Thank you, Jeremy, by the way. Thank you. No, yes, you're exactly right. That's actually a huge distinction compared to the rest. There's usually like specific times, like maybe once a year from a lot that I see, and you have to wait the entire year. For this, it's, these waves are rolling, like you said. So when one wave ends, it's like in the ocean when one wave ends. And so you get usually about 4 chances to win throughout the year. So you don't have to wait as long. You have more chances to win. And, it's just kind of a fun thing, but it's gained its credibility over time with the jury and some of these amazing agencies that have choose to come on board. It's pretty crazy to think.
So tell them what you did this year.
Okay. So Diane and I wanted to officially roll this out. Logo Wave Students is now underway at Diane's college at
University of South Alabama.
Yep. And with 2 of her classes, or junior and senior level classes, where we've brought this competition to the classroom.
It's a little different though, right?
It is.
Because you're giving them a brief.
Right. So there's a brief there. So if I'm talking about this, I'll say the online version is the pro version. This is the student version. So different from the pro version, there's an actual brief that I create for the students. This is a graded project, by the way, by Diane. And any profs that want to come on board and test this thing out, it's very much in beta right now. But yeah, good. I don't have to keep the secret anymore. That's right. I told Jason. But no, we're pretty much how we're going about it is there's a certain class, like it might be a branding class or advanced computer graphics class, and there's a mock fictional brief that they have to go by, each of the students. And then at that point there's a little flexibility. Like I want to make sure that the profs have plenty of flexibility. So for Diane, she chose to do for her class project, it was 3 logos, right, for each student.
Yes. The juniors might have had to do 5.
Oh, wow. Okay. So,
but then they're picking from that.
There was more than one, right? And they narrow down and they pick from one of those and then enter that into this student-led kind of competition. So essentially, the class itself becomes the wave.
And so after this gets rolled out, this will be a small fee, and then there still will be prizes, right? But maybe not monetary prizes, but.
Right, exactly. For now, I just want to add a lot of value to these students. So, of course, the resume value add to see, coming out of college that you're award winning out of the gate, like that's huge. Like that alone, I think is huge.
Because it's the same jury.
It is the same jury that will be looking at these too. So that was my next point. Like this jury is hopping on board for this as well. So if they see that they were judged by a panel that is some of the best our industry has to offer, and this second agency sees that they'll definitely want to have that leg up from the competition as they're looking to go into the real world, quote unquote, and get out there in the world. So and there's a designer's toolkit too that people are, there's Jacob Cass decided to give a bunch of his resources too. So it's getting up to like 700, 800 pages worth of PDF resources for the winner of this competition every single time. So, there's a value add to the students, of course. The university itself can add some excitement around the art department. Maybe someone that's on the fence of going with one college or another might go with this one because of this. And really, when it comes down to it, I've got a heart for aspiring young designers. I mentor a lot of designers along the way and want to help them and in their journey. And so that kind of aligns with that. So a student part of this, just the student arm just made sense. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So then you had said, right now they're going to compete within their class, but they're also going to compete. If there were more universities, they would be competing. They would do the same brief and then they would be competing against each other school-wise, right?
Potentially. I don't know.
This time we win because we're it. I love it.
Yeah, we're very much in beta. And I was going to say, first of all, I want to give out 2 free logo entries just to people that are chatting on here, and we can randomize that however you like. So that just out of the gate for the pro version. But for the students, if you guys went to university and willing to make an intro or something like that, I'd be more than happy to give you a free entry for making an intro and getting this thing off the ground, because I really have high hopes for it and think that it can help a lot of aspiring designers. So yeah.
What we'll do is I'll get you to pick a number, and then I'll get them. I'm going to do it by time that they're typing in. So if you haven't been typing in, you should really start typing in now, because at some point we're going to have a number, and I'll tell you after, because I don't know how many we have. So I don't want you to tell me a number that we didn't get to.
All good. Yeah.
All right. So with that, Kyle in college, you thinking back to him, and you had the professor. Maybe they were both great professors. One believed in you. One was good cop. One was bad cop. Right?
Right.
They both have a powerful message. Either way, you needed one, but you showed the other, right? And sometimes you don't know if that was real, or they were like, hey, you tell him, you be bad cop, I'll be good cop.
They're talking back and forth. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, he needs this.
Right.
All right. So what advice would you give your younger self, or as a student, if you can remember yourself, like what would you tell my students, or what would you tell yourself as you're beginning learning branding?
Yeah, I would say number 1, don't pretend like you know it all.
I love that one.
Myself, right? Like that was me. Like I thought I did. And so, I think that kind of explains itself. I think number 2, building genuine relationships. I always knew that, right? And I knew that was important. But from a business sense, I didn't factor that in as much. And, it is who you know sometimes, and that's just the nature of it. But when you're building those relationships, make sure it's genuine, of course. Like we can learn from each other, along the way. But it's amazing the more people that you meet and get to know, that really helps, especially in the freelance world where you might be, it's a roller coaster sometimes, and you might be looking for that next project, and some of those relationships that you've built over time can help kind of
like
be
Brian White, right? When I have a low time, I'm like, hey, Brian, send 100%. Me something. Right?
Oh gosh, you've referred me out to, a few amazing people.
I'm like a pimp for Kyle. I'm like, yeah, you need somebody.
Well, for everybody. It's not just me. Like you're just reeling off stuff, and you just give, and that's why people love you, Diane. But I think the last one I would say is don't compare yourself to others. I think this is really applicable to today, especially with social media. The big problems with creatives that I hear, being inadequate or have this imposter syndrome. I have it too a lot of times. That we don't have to have all the answers. Even as if you're more of a design influencer or really trying to add value, to the world in that way, like we don't need to have all the answers, and that really is okay. We can be confident in that, and so, yeah, I think that's one of the main things. You just you'll feel confident in the end. Those comparison thoughts, just gain that inspiration, that admiration there for them, instead of those detrimental, kind of comparison type of thoughts that just don't help. So, you'll only feel confident as a result, and you can have your own voice and along the way, and improve your craft. So yeah.
I also think it's important to remember that we're always learning. And so because we're always learning, there's always something that we need to do that we don't feel confident in, and I feel like it never really goes away. I wish somebody would have told me that, like, hey, you might not ever feel confident. Like, you'll feel confident in some things because you've done them over and over and over, and you know how to talk to people, or you know how to do this, but maybe you didn't in the beginning, but now you're learning something else. So it's like, you've got to be able to look and see what you do know and what you have known, because all these little changes that you do 30 minutes, or you do something else, or you have a conversation with somebody that's a mentor, or you take time to read somebody or follow somebody's post or their Medium article or whatever. It's like those things are making you better. And are you better today than you were yesterday? Right? It's the only person you should really compare yourself against. Not that I do
that's
that.
So good.
I wish I could.
No, and that's so good. And like a lot of these designers, as the last point there, like they're comparing themselves to other designers that are 20 years ahead of them, or even 10 years ahead of them. Like 10 years is when I graduated from university. Like that's a long time to learn, like you were saying before, and improve your craft. And we can be confident in that and be okay with that. Like, keep learning, of course. Don't settle in that regard, but like be confident in that fact.
I think one of the things that I'm most confident is that, hey, if they did it, I can figure it out, like I may not be the smartest cookie, but I definitely have a lot of grit. There's a lot of sand in my cookie, I'm going to get through it. And I feel like I at least can put that in. I know that I've learned things over time, and it may have taken me a little bit longer, but I got there. And I think sometimes that's the thing I'm most confident in, that I don't know, but I can learn it,
Yeah. And you have so much value to like give your students too. And, it's just amazing that you can, you've been doing it for what, 15 years now? Is that right?
This is year 16 here, 17 total.
Wow. Congrats.
You were a baby when I started, I guess. What year were you born? I'm 46. I always feel like
86.
80, okay, so I'm no, just 13 years older than you. I would have babysat for you.
Oh my. Wow, that's amazing.
But I think about like I just think that I still have a lot to learn, because especially in branding, things change. And I also think that that's not where my only focus was. And to be honest, logos scare me. It's so much pressure to put on. Man, it's the whole company is on you. Just keep feeling like you're
wearing you down.
Yeah, it does. So,
right.
But maybe it's more of a challenge for you. So to me, that's really inspiring that you, I don't know, it just stresses me out. I'd rather you do the logo and I'll do some other stuff.
That's cool that you can say, because I think we put design profs on this like really high pedestal, right?
Maybe not my kids.
Oh man. Well, okay. Yeah. But I did for sure. And it's like, I feel like they were supposed to maybe have all the answers, but you're able to say, you know what, I don't, and I'm human just like the rest of you. I'm still learning, of course, and have a lot to give, but there is that continued learning process. Yeah.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, I want you guys to know how to get in touch with Kyle, and I want to know. No, I do want to know lots of things, but I want to tell you about Logo Wave. I put it in there, but just in case, all the links are down below if you're listening on iTunes or you're watching on YouTube, or they're on, if you want to get to them even easier, rechargingyou.com/315. And his other episode was rechargingyou.com/296. Okay, so it's mylogowave.com, and then you can follow him on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at mylogowave. But if you want to enter, you can enter today at mylogowave.com. And then you can follow Kyle at courtrightdesign.com. You can at Twitter, kcourtdesign. I'm going to give all these to you so you don't have to. And then Instagram, Courtright Design, LinkedIn, Courtright Design and Facebook Courtright Design. I hate when we can't get all of them the same.
I know. Twitter, I just started when I was, it just didn't work out that way. But thanks for that, by the way. I appreciate that. Kyle, can you enter logos, says Jason, that didn't get picked?
What does that mean?
Didn't get picked from a previous wave, or didn't get picked by the client? By the client. Okay. So yes, 100%. As long as you're working towards a creative brief, because we don't allow purely conceptual work. Okay. But as long as it was working towards a creative brief for our client, then that is okay.
Do you have to share about the brief? Do you have to have a little? So, okay.
Not necessarily. We do ask for like context, right? And a description behind the business and brand, as much or as little as you want to write. So, because that's an important part of it, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's where we make those important decisions. But it's not convoluted with all these different types of files and things. It's 900 by 900, logo on white, straightforward. I don't totally respect some of these others that are given all these files, and that's okay, and showing some of how it's used and things like that. And that's great. That's great. But for us, we just want to keep things really minimalist and simplistic, and that's part of the brand.
Barack's like, I love that there's supposed to be get projects. I'm like, I am so out of the loop. I don't know what get projects are. And then he said, legit.
Oh, legit.
Anyway, I love you, Barack. I was glad that you were typing in on Facebook. And anyway.
I was like, Diane, you don't know what legit means?
No, I don't know what beget means. Anyway, I know what
level.
I got my walker.
Yeah.
I got my walker back there. Anyway, thank you, Kyle, so much for giving me a little bit of extra time. Thank you guys for hanging around. Next week, it's Brian Harper. You might have think that he was really hard on me, but he wasn't. Oh my gosh. So he did a brand audit. A website audit, SEO audit or whatever of my Little Bird communication site, which I have to fix. I have to make all those low-hanging fruit changes this weekend.
Nice. Guess
I won't be sleeping this weekend. But anyway, I am going to release that in the newsletter next week. I'll probably do it on Monday instead of Tuesday, hopefully. And so you guys can watch this. I made an F in SEO. And so that's the picture. It's like, I scored an F. So, hey, one thing, it's just like that kid who throws up the ball and he's trying to hit it, he's like, I struck myself out. I'm an awesome pitcher. Hey, there's nowhere for me to go but up, people, right?
That's
I
right.
mean, I think I got like an 18 out of 100. So, hey, I really can't get much worse. So I'm excited that you guys will be able to learn from my mistakes. He takes you through the brand audit. I hope you go click on that link in your email, and it will be on his. So it'll be rechargingyou.com/316 if you want to watch it before then. I don't know if it's up there right yet, but it will be, but maybe not today. Okay. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate you having me on and dealing with me again a second time.
No way. I'm super thankful, and I really appreciate you letting us be your beta. I can't wait to send you these files.
Oh, man, I can't wait as well. And thanks to everybody for coming on and supporting.
All right. That was a great episode. Kyle, thank you so much for everything you do and just for being so open and honest and inspiring and encouraging, and for letting my students be your guinea pigs for the Logo Wave student. We're real excited. But I wanted to tell everybody else about ways that they can support the podcast, and how that supports them is that these are affiliate links. So I get a tiny piece of the pie when you click on these links. My favorite way to build websites is with the Elementor plugin. It works with almost any WordPress theme, making almost any theme invincible. This plugin has changed the way I've been able to design websites, and it's the Elementor plugin. Where other plugins, builders, like visual builders, have fallen short, Elementor uses common sense, and it was so easy to understand and implement. I love the Elementor plugin. It has been a total game changer. Use this affiliate link to purchase the plan that's right for you. bit.ly, bit.ly, /, capital D, capital R, Elementor. Hey, I forgot to tell you about Audible. I mean, I told you about Audible, but I didn't tell you how to get to Audible. audibletrial.com/designrecharge. All right. And again, remember, the patrons are the best. I really appreciate them. If you want to become one of those patrons as well, you can go to patreon.com/Diane Gibbs. Diane's just with one N. Or you can probably search Design Recharge too, but it's /Diane Gibbs. Audible trial, you could get a free, you try it free for 30 days and you get one free book. And you know, they give you books. I get to choose, like, I don't know, a book. I don't even know how often I get to choose free books, but they give you free books. And you get to choose one of whatever. It's amazing what they give you. And I end up choosing books that I wouldn't normally think I would buy. And I have loved them. I read a book about Beyonce. It was really good. And I'll see you next week. Brian Harper, SEO guru, expert. Watch how he's killed my site. You'll get the link on Monday or Tuesday. I don't know yet. Bye, y'all. www.reach. I can X that out. I hope you like it, or maybe you don't. Maybe you could let me know. So I want to tell you about what I've been using to track my time. This is an app that you can use on your phone or you can use on your computer. I like it on my computer, and I'm going to tell you why. Anyway, I'm not going to say that. Boop. All right, here's the mid-roll. No, we're not going to say that. Boop. Okay, that was a great episode. Thank you, Kyle, so much for being a part of it, and thank you just for being my friend and for letting my students be able to be the first, the beta, the babies, the whatever of the Logo Wave student. So I'm really excited. But I wanted to tell everybody else ways that they can support the show and some things that you can do. So these are affiliate links. So I get this tiny piece of the pie when you click on this link. I wanted to tell you that the podcast is always brought to you by Audible because I absolutely love Audible. I've listened to it for over 10 years and it's $15 a month for me. I'm a gold member. I don't even know what kind of other color members there are, but gold's for me. I really like silver better, but whatever. Okay, gold membership. I like never. Okay. Boop. Why can't I do this?